in designing some large infrastructure projects, the most notable and recent of which is the Indian Education Megaproject. The Education Megaproject is a plan to provide high-quality education totally free of cost to 126 million children, 80% of whom live in rural areas and come from the poorest families. This project has been submitted to the Government of India for its consideration and inclusion in the 12th National Plan. As a designer, Ashish believes in Gandhiji's vision of Sarvodaya, the rise of all, and his project designs therefore focus on including the excluded amongst the masses. All his projects also have huge environmental dividends. Ashish currently runs a private foundation, the Nataraja Foundation, with a mandate to innovate on an unprecedented level in the areas of social infrastructure, urban planning, and clean energy. Ashish holds an MBA in International Business and a bachelor's degree in Mechanical Engineering. May I now request Ashish to please come on stage.
See, I'd like to thank good morning. I'd like to thank the FICCI's Women's Organization for organizing this event and for believing in this kind of initiative. Coming to the everybody, there's been people want Mumbai to be like Singapore. People want Mumbai to be like Tokyo or Paris or New York. And it's not, you may want a lot of things, but essentially to get there, you've got to think about financing, engineering, logistics. You've got to think about a whole lot of issues about how do you scale a project in that size, and what are the kind of investments involved, and how do you raise the kind of money required to fund an initiative that can transform Mumbai in a certain period of time. So in this particular project, I want the objective is to bring about massive change in something like 10 to 12 years, 9 to 10 years. That's the kind of time frame that I'm looking at, and it's pretty fast. It will be done pretty fast. Coming to this is the condensed page. Dubai and China developed, like this. In a pyramid kind of structure, but Sarvodaya, Gandhi's concept is to spread that development and include the excluded. So that's the concept behind this project. What does the project do? It builds an executable plan to transform Mumbai in 9 to 10 years. It provides free housing to all 9 million slum dwellers in Mumbai. It creates 2 financial centers, transport network of 210 kilometers of underground network. It reduces network load by 60%. And the original islands are going to be separated, because every time it rains, it clogs the whole city. People start swimming in the water there. So the original islands also need to be separated along the old nalas that we have. This project will also lead to development of Maharashtra and the country as a whole. So it is going to provide massive amount of investment in the rest of Maharashtra. It's called the World Bank concept of urban equity withdrawal. So it's going to provide 2,700 kilometers of 6-lane high-speed ring road from Mumbai, Nashik, Nagpur, Gadchiroli and back to Mumbai, and there will also be a bullet train in the second phase. It's going to see the water tables in Marathwada and Vidarbha have fallen considerably. From 125 feet 15 years ago is now almost above 1,000 feet. So there's this drought in these areas. So they're going to be, this project will finance 30,000 check dams in the rest of Maharashtra. There's been a huge environmental degradation, so it's going to finance 2.5 million hectares of dense forest plus 7,000 acres of mangroves which have been neglected in Mumbai, and there will be 4 eco-cities in tribal areas, essentially 6 million new jobs. This project will unlock around $308 billion in locked up value currently, which is around 14 lakh crores. It will triple Mumbai's GDP by 2018, and it will exceed Singapore by 2024. Essentially, in the beginning itself, it's going to completely extinguish Maharashtra's debt of $46 billion by a single bullet payment. The project to get executed needs some change. You need a proper governance structure, which I will just refer to in this, and then there's going to be a very powerful IT system that backs the project, because you're going to be in the investment phase. You'll be putting in close to between 300 to 400 crores every day. You will be investing for 7 years. So if the kind of money that has been stolen in various schemes, in Delhi and other places, if that kind of if we don't have a strong IT system, you cannot do this thing. And then you're going to have World Bank and EU tendering procedures and reporting formats. See, this is the current status. In Dharavi, you've got 800 people sharing a toilet. The city looks like a garbage dump. 5% of India's GDP it's producing, and land is so expensive, business doesn't feel it needs to come to Mumbai anymore. So the city is dying, and there are no two opinions about it. This is how the city is. So what are the showstoppers? See, you've got multiple agencies with no clear, there needs to be some change here. I mean, you've got to execute a project of this magnitude, you need a very clear governance structure. Then you got a huge debt, 46 billion, you can hardly fund anything with this kind of debt. And this is the kind of, construction quality and project quality that we have. It's pathetic. So there are 13 concepts by which the project will be, there are 24 concepts, and I'm only sharing 13 here because we have a time issue. Now, first thing is Mumbai was developed according, the railway lines and the port. But the whole city was built along the railway lines and the port, and today the port has started, its traffic has started clogging up the transportation network. So then there are a lot of harbour-based industries along the in this Mahul area, which are generating. They've got the tanks, for instance. RCF got these aging tanks of ammonia, which are extremely dangerous if that ammonia leaks, for instance. Then there's benzene, there's a lot of crude oil that keeps leaking into the harbour because of some spill. So one of the basic things in this plan is it shifts all these industries out of Mumbai. So these industries, there will be, I've looked at the economics of it, how much. So this money is not going to be they're not going to be just ordered out, but they're going to be told, look, if you got, say, 400, for instance, refinery has got 400 400,000 barrels per day of capacity, you're going to be probably 800, but someplace else, not here. Mumbai port also will be moved probably to the other end of the other side of the harbour. It can also, I'll show you the configuration where it can be moved. Yeah? The islands will be separated. See these old nalas we have got. These nalas, they're still there. Now the issue is they've got hutments around them. So if you increase the FSI on both the sides, you can expand the nala, and probably the water will not, every time it rains it will not percolate. So you're going to increase the width of these nalas 250 to 200 meters, and then have these kind of bridges that you see on the right. Okay, the archipelago concept. This will create new space, it will create new urban amenities and housing. The 3 island systems which will come in this project, they will be outside the island systems, and that's why I'm essentially interested, very keen to know what the issues are with the environmental issues around these islands, because that is something that is very critical, where they are to be located, how far they are to be located, and that's something that is very important. I'm very concerned about the environmental impact of these islands. So there will be model studies, of course, carried out, and then studies like, what is your nearshore current, tidal prism, things like that, to find out what is its impact on benthic life. Okay. See, these islands are all going to be 21 feet above sea level. So they are going to be designed for the 2050 scenario of mud at the bottom will be taken and put onto the land. So it will be raised by 21 feet. Similarly, by 2050, the entire Mumbai will be probably raised by 21 feet, but starting with this area. Okay, this project, see the 3 slides which I have just shown release a total of $308 billion for development. So that's essentially 14 lakh crores that you now have to develop the city. So how will you develop it? I did the numbers for slum housing, for instance, and the government plan is providing 269 square feet per house, and the most recent thing is 20 stories. Now this, I've done the numbers, and it shows that if you have 45 story towers, you can develop it for seismic conditions, and 500 square feet per house, you can it will cost you $65 billion. So that's something. When the transition happens, when you're transiting people, the project will be having something like 500,000 containers will be brought into the city, and this kind of container configuration that you see, they will be people will be housed in these excellent containers and the interior is shown on the top right. They'll be housed in those kind of containers. By the time their houses get built, then they'll be moved out. So I'm not wanting anybody to move out of their current this one. Now this is the current government scheme, and this is the scheme that this mega project is proposing. See, today the children have no place to play. So in these 45-story towers, the first 6 floors are just for children's play areas. And the current scheme is that 20% the slum dwellers are given just 20% of the land. In this scheme, 50% of the land is given to the slum dwellers for their buildings, and the balance 50% is held by the corporation that builds it. There is something called the Mumbai Megaproject Corporation kind of structure that will be set up, that will own these all the houses, these other areas, so that they can rent it out and then earn for the upkeep, because each flat in a 45-story tower is going to cost to maintain. So I have done the number, it comes to around $2 billion a year. So I think this kind of giving away 50%, keeping 50% will be able to generate $2 billion a year. There's a high-speed undersea subway ring, which is 210 kilometers. It's going to be to develop this, it will cost close to 3 times the cost of the Delhi subway, because you're going into rock, you're going pretty deep, 50 to 60 to 70, 80 meters. So it's going to be expensive. But given the cost, I found 34.29 billion, it is possible to do this because you got the cash. Then the sewage treatment. See, I studied New York's sewage treatment system, and this will have, you will have sewage generated at various places. It will be picked up by barges, so you're not moving it anymore along the transport networks, and it will be dumped at a place far away from Mumbai, so reasonably far away. So that's one more thing. You'll have, landfill, and there will be air sparged in through the landfill, so you'll have methane to power 200,000 houses. The project includes suggesting a $300 million grant to the Bombay Natural History Society or some organization that can, build, redo the mangroves and help them improve. There's the Central Park concept, where the idea is, if you get out of your house within 10 minutes, you should be in a park. There's heritage conservation. It's got 600 million for heritage conservation. So places like Haji Ali, for instance, in rising oceans, probably 15-20 years from now, you can, Indian designers working under him and coming up with the best possible ideas, they'll get a chance to learn. And I'm not averse to paying $500,000 to a designer so that he comes in with the best ideas. So then, apart from that, it will have a very advanced IT system to track every dollar that is spent on the project. So everybody in that project organization will be mapped up and down, and they cannot exceed their, if there's a violation of procedure or something, it will generate an alert along the whole system. This is the kind of scale we are talking about. There are going to be 4 islands, 11 times the size of Palm Jumeirah. The amount of concrete poured will be 5 times the Three Gorges Dam. You've got 30,000 engineers, 3,000 architects. The number of bricks required is 9 million for this project. You've got a peak construction manpower of 450,000. And you're pumping in something like, as I said, 300 crores to 500 crores a day. Structural steel, 10 million, concrete. It just gives you an idea of the size of it. And see, this kind of project, if you don't execute it properly, it's going to create disruption. So there will be, to create minimal disruption, there will be these Ro-Ro jetties located around the city. The demolition will start on the left, on the eastern seaport. So then these construction teams will come in at night, they will demolish the buildings, they will take it, by the morning you will find nothing. It's gone. It will be taken in barges and dumped out to sea. So there will not be any much impact on the normal life. Now, to achieve something like that, you've got to have a certain procedure to initiate the project. What are the first steps you need to take to make this happen? First thing is, government has to start relocation decisions with Mumbai Port Trust, HCPCL, BPCL, RCF, and the railways. So that's something that needs to be initiated. You've got to appoint consultants to find alternative locations for these people. Then the UID, because you're providing housing for 9 million people. So UID number scheme has to be fast-tracked. You got to get demographic data, everything into the system, so that the whole thing is based on the dwelling concept. So how many houses these people have, those many houses will be constructed. Otherwise, you will run into problems where people say, "I've got my son will live separately." You got to have the number of houses; those many houses will construct. Then this project team needs to be, you need an execution team in place. So that execution team recruitment on a global basis must start. The best people from around the world have to be brought in. And then once the land is located, you've given the money in cash to these companies to move, then you can start the first bidding rounds for the underground railway system and the first things. Then the government we need a political, accountable authority to run this project. State government needs to order relocation of harbour facilities. You need to have this very highly specialized team coming in, and you need a one-time grant of 3,000 crores from the JNNURM to get in the put in place this execution team so that they come in. These people come in, they guarantee their salaries and things like that. That's it. And this is how the city will be. These islands, for instance, the bird park will be located on the islands outside. They can be located even in the island that's inside. There will be huge convention centers. For instance, this is the kind of hall we have today, but the convention centers that will come will be located on the island. There will be 3 convention centers, the rise of the Royal Albert Hall. This thing that you are seeing is a school that is in today's slums. You're going to see this school on the side, pretty classy there. There's going to be a water world. There's going to be probably a Disneyland located on one of the islands. And International Financial Center shown in the middle. I'm saying, can we hold the Mumbai Olympics, the Olympics in Mumbai in 2024? Can the city make a bid? So if you've got a clear construction plan, then you can probably deliver. Thank you.
Portrayal of the situation within the MMRDA and the planning process for Mumbai. We'll now start off with the second very interesting session of today, the panel discussion. To kick it off, may I introduce the panel by inviting on stage Meera Sania. Meera is a banking professional for over 25 years. She has a deep interest in matters of economic and social development. She has mentored the bank's extensive microfinance program that finances over 650,000 women in rural India. She chairs the bank's foundation, overseeing projects dealing with sustainability, poverty alleviation, and climate change. Meera also supports the world's largest youth organization, ISEC, as a national advisory board member to ISEC India. In April 2010, those that didn't know Meera the banker saw a different side of Meera as she stood for elections to the Lok Sabha as an independent candidate from South Mumbai. More power to you, ma'am. Meera was awarded the Woman of Substance Award by the Rotary Club in January 2010, the Karmavir Puraskar, a National People's Award instituted by iCongo, a countrywide confederation of NGOs, for her work in social development in 2008. The Woman Banker of the Year Award by the Indian Merchant Chambers in 2006, the ISEC International Hall of Fame Award in Poland in 2006. Born in Cochin, Meera has studied in Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, Paris, and Boston. She has an MBA from INSEAD and has completed the Advanced Management Program at the Harvard Business School. She's a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Bankers in UK, and she has also studied Mandarin and Japanese. So thank you very much, Meera, for being with us. I'd like to now invite on stage the disarmingly charming Bittu Sehgal. Bittu is the editor of Sanctuary Asia, India's premier wildlife and ecology magazine. He's also at the forefront of the battle to protect India from the worst impacts of climate change. He has been associated with Project Tiger from its inception and has worked with Kailash Sankala, the first director of Project Tiger, and the late Fateh Singh Rathore, who was the field director of Ranthambore Tiger Reserve, to propagate the concept of tiger protection in India. He also founded the Cub magazine. He's currently involved in several national campaigns to save the tiger, protect coastal areas, and to prevent toxics from affecting the environment, a lot of sustainability projects. He's authored numerous books on wildlife and writes for both English and language newspapers and magazines in India. He's also founded the Kids for Tigers, the Sanctuary Tiger program, in the year 2000. Thank you so much, Bittu, for being with us here today. I'd now like to invite on stage Niranjan Hiranandani. Niranjan is the managing director of the Hiranandani Group of Companies. The group today is considered as the producer of best quality housing and commercial premises in the country. Apart from construction, the group has diversified into education, horticulture, hospitality, entertainment, and retail. Niranjan is actively associated with and holds key positions in various government bodies, private and social institutions, schools, and colleges. Continuing to serve the society in the best possible manner, Group is forayed into the healthcare sector as well. He calls it his building of passion, the Dr. L.H. Hirandani Super Speciality Hospitals at Mumbai and Thane. Some of his past achievements include drafting the state policy for slum rehabilitation in Mumbai, designed to improve the well-being of over 6 million slum inhabitants, acting as a trustee for the creation of the Nataraja township as a heritage destination, serving on the board of HUDCO, acting as an advisor to the Government of India on housing and habitat policy for over a decade, and serving as the chairman of the Housing Committee for FICCI. Please welcome Nataraja. I'd now like to invite on stage our next panelist, Pranav Datta. Pranav is currently the Vice Chairman and Managing Director of Knight Frank India, a global property consultant founded in the UK over 115 years ago, and one of the first to establish operations in the country. His work experience of about 40 years in finance, sales and marketing, corporate planning and general management covers diverse industries such as engineering, consumer products, professional electronics and real estate, with some of the most respected business groups. Prior to Knight Frank, Pranav has served as Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer with the flagship infrastructure and retail estate company of the Mahindra Group. He's a chartered accountant and has attended management development programs of the ISB in Hyderabad, IIM Ahmedabad, and the University of Michigan. Pranav is a member of the CII Committee on Retail and has been earlier on the Governing Council of the National Association of Real Estate Developers. Thank you, Pranav, for joining us today. And finally, our last panelist for today. Please welcome Tasneem Mehta. Tasneem Zakaria Mehta is an art historian, writer, curator, designer, and a cultural activist who has studied fine arts and design at the Sir J.G. School of Art, Mumbai. She did a liberal arts degree at Columbia University in New York, a postgraduate degree in the history of modern art from Christie's in London, and a master's in English from Delhi University. She has completed research towards a PhD on the establishment of museums and schools of art in the 19th century at the JNU Delhi. From 2003, Tasneem is the managing trustee and honorary director of the Dr. Bhau Daji Lal Museum, Mumbai City Museum, the erstwhile Victor and Albert Museum, which won the prestigious UNESCO 2005 Asia Pacific Award of Excellence for Cultural Conservation. Tasneem conceptualized, curated, designed, and implemented the restoration and revitalization of the museum. She raised the seed capital for the project. For the first time in India, a public-private partnership has been established through a trust for the management of a government cultural institution. Tasneem has served several terms on the National Gallery of Modern Art Advisory Board in Mumbai and is also on the NGMA's National Advisory Board. She's a two-term member of the Governing Council of the Salar Jung Museum, Hyderabad, and has also served on the Governing Council of the National Institute of Design, Ahmedabad. She has been a member of the Central Advisory Board for Museums and a senior expert advisor to the UNESCO. She has successfully led the heritage protection movement in Mumbai. Thank you so much for joining us today, Tasneem. A big round of thanks and
to continue that good tradition. Niranjan just told me that he has to leave at 12:30. So our plan is actually to pass the mic to each of the panelists, to ask them to say a few words, in particular about the presentations that the young people presented today. Because I think what we've seen is a variety of very fresh ideas coming from the young citizens of Mumbai with a vision and a passion that I think inspires us all. So we'll have a few words from each of the panelists and then the floor will be open to questions and answers. I see amongst the audience many committed and very vibrant citizens of this city. So we hope it's going to be a good panel. Niranjan, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for the honor of coming here this morning. I think Mumbai is part of our passion, desire, love, you name it, and it's part of us. I was born here, brought up here, got married here, had children here, got educated, worked over here, and I'm still here. So it's really something which brings about some kind of a feeling which is different than what normal feelings would be for any other city or vacation place that one would go to. I think there are two ideas which have come up. One is at the macro level, and one is at the micro level. And I think both are equally important because we really need to look at the macro level. And I first take up what Ashwini Bidye's and MMRDA has really taken up in terms of doing infrastructure for mobile.